Thank you so much. Because people who got to be down so much, I'm like, it's really okay.
Well, I heard you say it earlier because I was calling you Dr. Sully at first.
Yes,
I was like, oh, do you want Sully?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So their mics aren't in the system. It's just in the live.
Correct. Well, it's just in the recording.
So they're still using the mics to talk.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, Doctor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and evening. Somebody say, why do I say that? Because I am all over the place sometimes, and my international people are in the morning and somewhere in the afternoon and somewhere in the evening, and depending on how you work, if you're shutting down when I'm getting up, just hello. So just look around someone, just tell somebody hello, because it's good that you're not here by yourself, because this is Dream Week. All right, so I'm gonna give everybody a hand. It's Dream Week. All right. Thank you so much for the man, this is 2026, and we are here. Another year of revelation, talking about the heroes of our city. That is a revelation. A lot of times we don't talk about the people that are working so hard to do things, not just in the background, but just to do things. Because we have a city that does things and gets things done, right? That's a good thing. We are truly a community and we work together. San Antonio is truly a community. And today we're going to be talking about a community, a little bit different, but we're going to talk about community first. They're going to be here. They're going to be talking to us. My name is Dr. Sully. People know me as Dr. Sully Speaks. I have a company, Organic Coaching and Consulting. I'm a certified equity and resiliency coach, and I do business strategy and personal equity and business equity. What does that mean? That means that I'm the person that finds that thing on the inside of you and makes it make sense. So also, I'm a pastor, local pastor here, anchored at the San Antonio Community Church, and we believe in leaving a Christmas home, and that it has to be a safe place. If you're here with us, know that there is a happy hour. Come on, let's get excited about happy hour. There's a happy hour following this event, so please come hang out today. If you're on the way, please keep coming. You should be able to find us on the live stream at Dream Week SA on YouTube. And Dream Week has been rocking since the 6th of January. And they're going to be pushing to the 31st, where we always close with the wonderful Dream Ball. And these are events happening every single day. Yes, I mean every day. You can look on the Dream Week website and you can find something happening every day, all day, because that is what Dream Week is all about, which is not at all a week anymore. We are almost to the month. Hold a few days off just so we don't ever become Dream Month, because then it'll be Dream Year. But the truth of the matter is, Show and his team, the whole purpose of it is to get us to dream again. And I heard him say something at the breakfast this year. He says, since he's been here, there's so many things in San Antonio that often is just overlooked. And he likes to take this time to kind of lift those up to people because some of us don't know. I was very excited to, as a pastor of a church that we believe we're a Bible-based family church, but I'm not going to get into that because I argue with too many people about that in case you're on the side. We are a Bible-based family church. That's exactly what that means. But had an opportunity to go and hang out with our monks at the Vietnamese temple. And that was such a really wonderful occasion of peace. And a lot of times people are trying to find out how to create a divide. But with Dream Week, show is always trying to create anything but the divide. How do we come together in unity? And I kind of like to do it because for me, calm, C-O-M versus unity, the difference between the two is to unite is just that, it's just to come together. But what changes it when community takes a little bit of communication and when we talk about it, that's when we become really one. So I'm going to bring someone up to you that is a very awesome person and CEO. Now, I want you to understand, some people that take on those leadership positions, I've already found it's not like that, y'all. She is a hands-on kind of person. She hugs, she laughs, she smiles, she jokes. I'm pretty sure if we work for her, sometimes the smile can turn into a frown, but that's the business of CEOing. But she's an awesome person. Teresa Rodriguez Suspansky. Did I say that right? Almost? All right. Is a dynamic healthcare leader for her unwavering commitment to advancing health access and improving community wellness. As the president and chief executive officer at Community First Health Plans Incorporated, we know as Community First, Teresa continues to shape and expand healthcare services, catering to diverse populations, especially those historically underserved. Known for her inspiring her team and fostering a culture of transformation and innovation, she has garnished recognition within the healthcare industry. These honors include the 2025 Stevie Award, Woman of the Year in Healthcare and Female Executive of the Year. Come on, yes. Yes, I told you she's awesome, y'all. Teresa's board services include the role as Chair of State Medicaid Advisory Committee, member of the Association for Community Affiliated Plans, Texas Association of Health Plans, Texas Association of Community Health Plans, Barron County Health Collaborative, and currently serving as a member of the Board of Trustees for the San Antonio Water System. Please, at this time, please accept this wonderful person to our stage at Dream Week, none other than Miss Teresa Rodriguez Suspansky.
Thank you so much. As mentioned, my name is Teresa Rodriguez Suspansky, and I appreciate the opportunity to, have a piece of the action here during Dream Week. It's really great to be able to talk a little bit about the theme this year, which is revelations. I'm going to start with a statement and then tell you a little bit about myself. So for me, revelations are those moments of clarity that change how we lead, how we serve, and how we live. And so I'll tell you a little bit about how I live, right? So San Antonio native, I grew up on the south side of San Antonio. I grew up in the Harlandale Independent School District, and my mother still lives in the same house that I grew up in. Which is wonderful that we still have roots in that same community. So I understand the culture of San Antonio and how we have expanded over the many years. I won't tell you how many years because we don't know how I ran. But for many years, being able to live on the south side of San Antonio, watch our community grow. And even now, as I go back and visit my mom, and I see the growth in that community, it's astronomical. And it's really wonderful to see how they're all thriving. And I think as we look at every part of the San Antonio area, we see that growth, no matter whether it's south, east, west, or north. And as you all know, we continue to expand as a community overall. And I think part of Community First Health Plans as a managed care organization is to not only participate in that growth, but really offer the services to all of our constituents of our communities, regardless of where you grow up in, and be able to service every member that we can in providing not only education about healthcare, but access to healthcare. And that's really what we're about at Community First Health Plans. As a local health plan, we really focus on how to ensure that we work with providers in our community, with other stakeholders, with other community-based organizations that offer services that are maybe not the traditional medical services that people need, but services like our food bank, if you have food insecurity, services like other organizations that provide transportation. If you need transportation to get from your home to maybe your pharmacy for your medication, to maybe your doctor's office, to ensure that you make that scheduled doctor's appointment. If it's not for you, maybe it's for one of your family members. And so when we think about all of those different needs, we at Community First really focus on what's important to our community, and we also think about what's important to those individuals. And so we don't ask individuals to come to us. We meet our community where they are in the various neighborhoods. And that's one thing that we are very proud about at Community First. So I was introduced as the president and CEO of Community First Health Plans, and I am really proud to say that I have been in this role now for 6 years. I've been with the organization. This March will be 31 years. So I can say maybe I started when I was 5 years old. I don't think you believe me. But when I did start, my hair was a lot darker than it is today. So there you go. And so as the president and CEO, I have seen our organization grow. And so when we talk about how we live and how we serve and how we lead, leading this organization has been a tremendous pride for me in the fact that we have grown from, when I started just a few years ago, a little over 300 staff members to now we're over 600 staff members. Our bottom line, our operating budget was about $700 million. We are now, we can say, a $1.2 billion. And breaking about that is all of those dollars are going back into our community. Our members in providing excellent healthcare, also partnering with community-based organizations to provide grants and other monetary resources so that they can help our members when there are needs, as I mentioned earlier. So what I want to talk about when we think of Revelations is a concept of trust. Truth builds trust. We have a lot of stakeholders that participate in taking care of our community. We engage with a lot of different providers. So whether it's a doctor, whether it's a surgeon, whether it's a physical therapist, whether it's a pharmacy, all of these different providers in our community, we've got to ensure that we are building trust with them as a partnership so they in turn can take great care of our community and our membership. And sometimes that means providing additional information to our providers whether they want to hear how they're doing or not. You know, sometimes that might be a challenge. Sometimes we have to have those crucial conversations that talk a little bit about, you know, Dr. Smith, if you could not only obtain labs for our membership, or for our patient, but also maybe ask them a social screening, get a little more information. That tells you how to really care for that individual. What's going on aside from maybe their high blood pressure? Are they living in an area that, you know, if they, for example, if they have asthma, do they need additional equipment to ensure that they have clean air quality? It's those kinds of additional questions that really not only build the trust between the provider and the patient, but then when we give that feedback to the provider's office, we're also building trust between ourselves and providers. I want to give you one statistical example of how we have done such a great job in partnering with all of our physicians in the community. So we focused last year, and it's a continuation of a focus, but we truly focused on improving maternal health metrics, so those outcomes for those pregnant moms, and also in prenatal visits and also in postpartum visits. So post-delivery, we want to make sure that mom and baby get back into that doctor within that first 6 weeks after delivery to ensure that everything is going well and everybody's being taken care of. Increase from 79% to 83% of compliance, and that's excellent because that's really taking care of that mom and the baby before birth, right? And then post-delivery, those postpartum visits increased from 65% to 73% compliance. So again, that means we're doing something really well. And by sharing all of that information, again, we're building trust with our providers and we're building trust with our patients and our members. I'm going to tell you a little story about me. So, you know, I mentioned to you, grew up on the South Side, a single parent household. And so it was myself and my younger brother and my mom. When we got sick, usually we did everything that we could at home to take care of ourselves, maybe Robitussin, gargle with warm water and salt if you have a sore throat, whatever the case may be, right? Maybe some Tylenol, aspirin. But one thing that we don't talk about a lot, and even today, we don't have these conversations, is about our oral health. And oral health leads to positive outcomes in our medical health. And I know a lot of people take that for granted and they really don't connect the two. I did not go to a dentist, and I'm ashamed to say, for the first time until I was 19 years old. That's amazing that I didn't, and I'm going to knock on wood here, I didn't have any cavities. I don't know how that happened because I used to eat the heck out of candy. Drink Big Red, eat Cheetos, all those good things, right? But it was just, number one, we didn't talk about it, right? Number two, we probably didn't have as much trust in our healthcare provider system, and even, to even obtain the knowledge that oral health is so critical for an individual that leads to so many other challenges that you can experience on the medical side, right? And so, when I think about those kinds of things, I reflect on what we do today as an organization. And some of the practices that we instill and we hardwire within our own organization is based on some of those stories that I remember about even me as a child, and the fact that it was a limited healthcare usage and zero dental care until I was 19 and had a job that actually had dental coverage, right? I can say even today at a little older, mature age, that now I go to the dentist on a regular basis. And I still can proudly say that I've never had a cavity.
Yeah.
Now I've cut down on candy, but a lot of times that's not even the reason you get cavities. So, going back to building that trust, being transparent with data, providing that data to our providers so that way they can provide it and talk to their patients who are our members. We want to make sure that we're providing all of that access, all of the healthcare, and all of the education that people really should have when they need to, when they're feeling ill, or even when they're not feeling ill and they go in just for an annual exam. You want to get those routine checkups because we want to make sure, number one, that you don't suffer from anything immediately, but then you also think about your long-term health and how that really helps you as an individual and helps your family, because a lot of times, we are the caregivers of our children, we're the caregivers of our parents many times, and if we have that education and information, then we're able to share that with our families, whether it's smaller or younger or older. Other things that I've learned during my leadership journey: you lead with truth, so you share data and you invite accountability. Accountability comes from within, right? Initiative comes from within. So we need to ensure that we hold ourselves accountable before we can hold anybody else accountable, right? Building systems that last, whether it's an IT system that's strong, that provides that data to our providers in the community, that provides that data to our members who need that information, or whether it's just our own infrastructure system of our own organization and how we all work together to ensure that those common goals are met on a regular basis, and that we always keep our community at the forefront of what we're doing. No matter what those goals are, all roads have to lead back to improving the health and wellness and access to health for our community. Sharing leadership. Don't hoard it, share it. Partner wisely and listen deeply. Those are extremely important. When we partner with others, like all of our community-based organizations, like each department partnering with each other, like we partner with our providers and our members, we all learn something new and we all grow together. I think those are really important concepts to keep in mind. Again, as I mentioned, transparency. Being transparent is not just about data, it's about dignity, it's about accountability, as mentioned, and it's about giving people the information that they need to take action. And I think that's another important, critical component. You get the data, don't just hoard it, take action, make it work, make something up, right? Another item or another concept that I've learned through my journey in leadership is the fact that you can't do it all alone. You need a strong team. You need a strong support system. And I think at Community First Health Plans, we have really built over the years that strength, that confidence in our team, that collaboration that allows us to really, learn from each other internally, and also share the knowledge that we gain from each other with others, not just within our organization, but outside of our organization. That's also really important, is to share information, to share experiences, to share stories, because that's how we all grow And that's how we learn. You know, we talk about infrastructure internally within our organization, but we are also out in the community every day, and we learn from the community what's important to them, what are they missing that we need to provide, what can we share to help them thrive on a daily basis. And, you know, that's another concept that I think by learning from others, we really can, the sky's the limit. We can do so much more, and we are doing so much more. As I mentioned, you know, where we've grown from staff members, where we've grown from a financial infrastructure, it's all because we've worked together as a really strong team. We trust each other, and we teach the community how to also take care of themselves. And that's really another important concept that I wanted to share with you this evening. So I will open it up to questions if there are any questions from the audience. But I really do appreciate your time this evening as, you know, in the Dream Week series. I appreciate the opportunity for allowing Community First Health Plans and personally myself to talk to you a little bit about what we do, how we are in the community, how we move about the community to really help improve the overall health. We all want to be healthy, and I think that's the one goal that we all can share, everyone in this room and everyone outside of this room. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time this evening. And I will turn it back over to our master of ceremony. Okay. Absolutely.
So you've been with Community First for 31 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about your very first job there and why you stayed?
So Community First is wholly owned by University Health. We are the hospital district here in the Bexar County area. We have a very large hospital in the medical center area. So for 25 years, I actually worked on the hospital side and then received a promotion to transition to the president and CEO of Community First Health Plans. And so, yeah, my background is in human resources. And so my first job at University Health was as a recruiter, a health career recruiter. So I recruited nurses, radiology technicians, pathology technologists, licensed vocational nurses. I recruited a lot of the clinical folks that actually, and many of them still work there. I actually recruited, so I was here 31 years. Community First has been in existence this past October, 30 years. So as a recruiter, I actually hired most of the employees at Community First, some that still work for us today. So it's a full circle. Yes, it's a full circle. So it's really great. But I, as a recruiter, moved up the organization, moved into operations to really learn a lot more. So while I was in human resources for many years, I advocated for our workforce. How do we improve benefits? How do we improve holidays? How do we improve work schedules, right? How do we improve your career development, your skill development? When I transitioned to operations, I was now thinking about the patient. How do I advocate for patients? And then moving to Community First, our patients we call members. How do we advocate for our members, and how do we educate and ensure that our members know everything that they need to know about improving their health, staying healthy, and if they're not healthy today, how do we get them there?
Awesome. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Who did? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Yes.
So you are a Harlandale native, you are a South San Antonio native. At what moment did you know healthcare was the shift?
So my journey's a little interesting. It wasn't about healthcare for me initially in my career. It was about human resources. So for me, it was always thinking about a workforce, organizational development, skill development, career development. How do I help others in an organization elevate into whatever career they choose, right? Whether it be a non-clinical person who wants to start school to become a nurse, how do we get them there? How do we help them with their work schedule, supporting them with tuition, books, et cetera, right? Under educational tuition reimbursements. And so for me, it was about human resources. I started my career, again, I won't, it was a long time ago, but in the hospitality. I was in the hotel industry. Some of us may remember in the late 70s, early 80s, we had a hotel here called Four Seasons. And that was my first professional job in the human resources department. So I was in the hospitality industry for many, many years, then transitioned to healthcare, but it was because of the human resources opportunity, and it just landed me in the healthcare industry. And that was probably the best thing that ever happened because, again, 31 years now with the same organization, they obviously do something right, and I obviously enjoy what I do. And, again, transitioning from helping our workforce to now helping the community. And we developed programs within Community First to help our members become active in the workforce as well. So I still dabble in HR, it just looks a little different. It's in my blood.
Thank you for your questions. Going to keep on moving. I want to remind you all that after we're done here tonight, there is a happy hour upstairs. And if you need to get your ticket for your complimentary drink, whatever that might be, please make sure you sign in and do that. I want to keep you all in memory of the fact that we are still Dream Weekend, y'all. There's so much to continue doing. So please keep going on with the calendar and the schedule. There are some changes because of the weather possibility this weekend. So if you are moving, please kind of peek at the calendar to make sure that the thing is going the exact same way, or call it in. You don't want anybody out there in the inclement weather. So we have now coming to talk to us Miss Judy Razzo. Judy Razzo, Community First Health Plan's Vice President of Experience and Growth, has over 25 years of experience in marketing, advertising, and business development. She is known as a mission-driven executive who leads continuously improving business performance through marketing and communication, specializing in hard-to-reach communities. Judy has dedicated her career to uplifting communities, and she specializes under and underserved populations through her communication and marketing works. Judy joined Community First Health Plans in 2018. She is responsible for overseeing membership, growth efforts, and enhancing the member, provider, and community experience with Community First in every interaction. She has a bachelor's degree in international business from St. Edward's University, a master's degree in advertising and communication from the University of Texas at Austin. She is also a 2007 graduate from the world-renowned Texas Creative Advertising Creative Portfolio, a McNair Scholar, a 4A's MIAP Fellow, and a Camp College Assistant Migrant Program Scholar. Please receive Ms. Judy Razzo.
Thank you, Dr. Sully. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us and supporting Dream Week as well as Community First. I think the speaker series is really intended, I love the theme this year, Revelations, and it's really intended to share knowledge so that we can uplift each other and rise together. So I appreciate the introduction. And I almost feel like in my bio, it kind of told you a little bit about what this conversation is about. The topic is hidden in plain sight, the power of everyday experiences, and it really is about talking to you about how do we reach those hard to reach communities, and it really is in respecting them, understanding them, and meeting them where they're at. And Dr. Sully started off ended my introduction with some of the scholarship programs that allowed me to get an education. And a lot of my humble beginnings, I think, were kind of in between the lines of that introduction. So I appreciate how warm he was in delivering all of that. I'm a small town girl from South Texas. I'm the daughter of hardworking immigrant parents from Mexico. And I didn't speak English until I was about 8 years old. And when I learned to speak English, I became not only the family interpreter, I also became the family banker, mortgage broker, all-around family matter advocate. Because that's what happens when you understand something that your family doesn't, and they lean on you. And so it really transformed and defined who I was. I wanted to be a doctor of all things because that's what I was told would be cool and make a lot of money when I was younger. And it turned out that instead I was better at advocating for other people that had lived similar experiences to me, that had come from humble beginnings, that didn't understand systems, that really needed somebody to explain the world around them, to help empower them. Because what I've learned is that people really like to help themselves, but they have to have the knowledge and the information in order to do it. And so a lot of my introduction or my speech comes from discovering opportunities where others see routine. And that's really the magic in communicating to underserved communities. So as Dr. Sully mentioned, I got a few scholarships that took me to college. And while I was there, I discovered a passion for helping people understand complex thoughts, concepts, and language. So literally and figuratively translating and simplifying things for others. And I realized that I really want to empower people with information that they could make the choice. It would be up to them what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it. So when my personal background and my professional experience merged, I became an expert at communicating hard to reach communities. And most of the common thread of hard to reach communities is low income, duress, stress, and living in systems that they don't know how to navigate. And so that is where I found my niche and found myself at Community First well into my career. But it has become my dream job. I think, you heard Teresa speak. She's literally my boss and one of the best bosses I've ever had because she allows us to and supports those visions. So I'm very grateful to the leadership that she provides. And I think I didn't expect to go after her, but it makes perfect sense because it literally is a continuation of the things that she was talking about in sharing knowledge, being true, respecting dignity, and understanding that we're here to provide resources and information that people can then choose to use. And that is very, we don't go into a community and enforce what we think is right, that we empower people with information, that we give them resources and connect them, and then they have the choices to make on how they want to shift their health, their mind, their environment. But it's very important to be very respectful, especially of our cultural communities and in low income areas. Because I remember when I was low income, I did not know I was low income. I was happy, I had a lot of love, I had a lot of care, and it wasn't until I grew up and made comparisons that I understood that we were low income. That's right. That's right. So if we don't think there's anything wrong, why would we bother to fix something that we don't think is broken? And in our families, we are held together by that community, by that love, by that helping each other. And when we're running around sweaty at the barbecue, 8, 9 years old, and spraying each other with water guns, we do not know that we're poor. That's right. And so anyhow, so that's really important. I think that's at the core of what we do at Community First when we're communicating and reaching our hard to reach communities. So one of the biggest breakthroughs that I ever had, and when I realized this, I did a lot of work in advertising companies and education companies, and worked in a lot of different spaces, but one of the biggest revelations that I had did not come from a boardroom. It did not come from a strategy session. It did not come from analytics, and as Teresa said, it doesn't come from data. It came from a simple conversation with my target audience, and they said something so ordinary, but it completely changed how we were solving this problem. And what these people said was, I didn't know. They didn't know what they didn't know. And so we were tasked, I was working for an advertising agency at the time, and we were tasked by the Texas Department of Transportation to help lower tickets, accidents, and deaths that were all related to drinking and driving, not wearing your seatbelt, and not putting your child in a car seat. And so we did all sorts of analysis of why, we have click it or ticket campaigns, and we have don't drink and drive campaigns, and we have all this information out there, and people just don't understand why we're still seeing these accidents and these deaths, and especially with little children. And of course, I grew up in the 80s, so car seats, what were they? I was riding in the back of a 76 pickup truck at age 4. No seatbelts and no seats, because my brothers would be like, you don't deserve a chair, sit on the floorboard. So anyhow, clearly I was the youngest. So when we were talking to these people, and we were doing kind of these conversations with them, they were like, we didn't know that you couldn't do that. And so we finally understood that what was happening is that most of the people committing these infractions were coming in out of state, and mostly they were immigrating from other countries. And when they got here in their countries, these were not laws. So they had no idea they were doing something wrong. So our solution, when they said, I didn't know, is that we ended up creating a business card, credit card size card that literally said, welcome to Texas, wear your seatbelt, don't drink and drive, and put your child in a car seat. And if you need some additional information, here's a website where you can get all the details. And we put them at the Chambers of Commerce, we put them at the welcome centers, at churches, at the consulates, and we lowered that statistic significantly throughout the entire state. Because we finally told them, this is what you're supposed to be doing, English and Spanish. If you don't want to get a ticket, if you don't want a devastating accident, this is what you need to do. And they were like, sure, we'll do it. We didn't know we were supposed to do it. And that was at the core of why these things were happening. I think the biggest statistic that we had was in the car seat adoption. We lowered that by the ticketing for car seat adoption, we lowered it by like 35%. That is a ridiculous percentage to lower statewide. And it was all because we told them about something they didn't know. And so that completely shifted my perspective. I was much younger at the time. Completely shifted my approach in communicating with target audiences on getting them to change behavior. And so really what I wanted to share with you guys today, what are ways that we do this? We look for opportunities in everyday interactions, whether it's customer feedback, employee conversations, even complaints. Everything is a gold mine of information that tells us what people don't know and how we can help them learn it. Do they even want to learn it? Let's start there. And making sure that we're doing it from a place of dignity and respect. So we talk to people, we observe them, we engage with them, we meet them where they're at. We want to know, what does their day look like? We want to know what stores they're shopping at. Do they have transportation? Why are they not going to the doctor? Because if something hurts and you're ill, you're going to go to the doctor. But if you don't have transportation, if you're hungry, if you have multiple children, if by all stretch of the imagination you have multiple jobs, you can't lose your hours, you get paid hourly. You are gonna grab a bottle of Vicks, rub it on whatever hurts, and show up to work. You are not showing up to the doctor's office. So that is how we have to understand our community. So what can we do? Back to Teresa's point about educating providers, having them extend after hours so that they can show up. Telling them that these locations are open to them. Offering them nurses and nurse practitioners that can visit them in their home. At one point we did a program where we were sending an OBGYN clinic on wheels to these transportation deserts, sending the clinic to them. Because we had to understand they're not doing it because they don't want to do it. They're not doing it because they either don't know or can't do it. And when we start from that place, from walking a mile in their shoes and understanding where they are and what they're doing, then we can better help them, and we can do it respectfully and with dignity. Because that is the most important, and it's in our name. That is why we are community first. Because we want to understand who we're serving and why we're serving them before we think we know better than they do. And so that's really, really important. The other thing is, why do we miss these opportunities? Because we're conditioned, and especially today in social media, we are conditioned for these big moments, these big elaborate revelations, and the clouds part, and God tells me exactly what I need to do. Great, that is fantastic for multi-million-dollar national companies that can hire and use millions of dollars to create campaigns that who knows if they work or not, or they can give incentives. I know one of our competitors gives their members $100 a month to get them to go to the grocery store. That's great. We can't do $100 a month. We're still a nonprofit organization. But what we can do is secure transportation for them, make sure that we're giving them free groceries, coming up with these programs where they can get a higher education, guarantee a job interview with our parent company, and again, empower them to help themselves, because that's really what they want to do. Nobody's looking for ever magic to fix what's going on. They would prefer to help themselves. I know when I walk in here, if I needed the ladies' room, I'm going to try to find it myself before I ask the waitress. And I'm sure that you all feel the same way, because nobody wants to have to ask. At the end of the day, we're all introverts, at least a little bit. So it really takes a lot of curiosity, a lot of active listening, a lot of uncovering these hidden opportunities in the mundane, in making observations, in walking in their shoes, in advocating from their perspective and not from our opinion or assumption. And that is the key in our marketing, in our communication, in our advertising, in reaching these hard to reach communities. We want to empower our teams to share observations without fear, that they can tell us what they see, they can tell us what they experience. And again, we want to share this information as an organization, and we want to share it with the public as well. Because once you understand what the problem is, then everyone can jump in to help to fix it. And lastly, a framework for converting these observations into strategies. You always want to look for patterns. Because we're helping more than one person, and that's the difference between going one-on-one and helping the community. When we can identify a pattern, then we can come up with a strategy on how to address it. And the reality is that in our communities, a lot of people have the same problems, but we are raised to keep our dirty laundry inside the house. And because we don't talk about it and because we don't share it, it's really hard to reach these communities and to help them. So what we do is we try to identify these patterns and to normalize whatever it is that they're going through, that people understand that it's okay, this happens to a lot of people, you're not alone, and here are, again, tools, resources, doing it respectfully, doing it privately, because it's not about what we put on social media and our website. It's about how many people did we actually help and what was the depth at which we helped them. So we don't want to just check a box. We don't want to say, good for us, we went and handed out some flyers. We want to ensure that those flyers translated to the doctor visits, to picking up the groceries, to improvement in our health outcomes. And that's where the data comes into play. Were we effective in what we were doing? And so anyhow, as you're looking at opportunities of how do you break through in these spaces, you always want to lead with, I am here to help, I'm here to simplify, and you tell me what you need before you jump in with what you think needs to be done. And you can turn all these things into actionable ideas, actionable strategies, and again, help uplift the community, because when we are all healthier, then our community is healthier and we rise together and we're much more successful together. So one of the things that I wanted to leave you with is this quote about innovation starts with noticing what others ignore. Other people ignore the day-to-day, they ignore the mundane, the having to go to work, the stress, the drain, the how many children you have at home, and as much as you love your children, how hard it is to manage them all at the same time. At this point, all of our midlife generation, we're caring for young ones because we chose to wait to have children because we wanted to do better. And we're also caring for our elders at the same time because they're still with us, but they can't help us with the children anymore. So the village dynamic is broken. So how do we create those resources in the community through our community-based partners so that we can create that support structure? Because again, the village system is broken. We're now very independent. We're now very ambitious, but we also are breaking generational cycles, and part of breaking those generational cycles is that my 76-year-old mother cannot help me with my 3-year-old. She might have helped my brothers with their children because she was in her 40s. I'm not putting a 3-year-old on a 76-year-old woman at this time. Although, my daughter would have a lot of fun, but my mom would not. So it really is important to create this support structure with our community-based organizations, with the resources that we have. And I'm so proud to be part of this organization because we really do live the name that we gave ourselves almost 31 years ago, which is putting our community first. We are nonprofit, we live it, we breathe it, and in our leadership, we are very strong in ensuring that we build a team that works with heart and with intention, so that we know that when we get in a room, it is about supporting each other and working together, because our bigger vision is the member that we're helping at the end of the day and not the bottom dollar. Thankfully, because we're a nonprofit, we don't have to worry about the bottom dollar because all of those dollars go back into the community, and that's what keeps us going. So again, as you're thinking about, what is Revelations, and when you're working with these organizations and when you're working with the community, if you want a moment of revelation, look at the unseen, look at the mundane, identify those patterns, and use it as a superpower that nobody else is gonna see that but you. Because the next big idea isn't out there, it's right here waiting for you to notice it. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Yeah, so, as a nonprofit that, primarily, is better served with Medicaid and Medicare, the current administration.
You are very well informed in our business.
The current administration.
Yes, sir.
What barriers do you face? Because, with all the
Sure.
healthcare issues going on with the current administration, all that stuff. Are there any barriers that you guys see that you can't overcome, or because you guys are nonprofit, you can circumvent a lot of that stuff?
It's not that we can circumvent a lot of it. I think some of the misconception is that at the end of the day, whatever administration is in place, until it gets codified in the state of Texas, because we serve the state of Texas, that those kind of things don't impact us directly, or it takes a long time.
Okay.
The same thing, right?
Okay.
And in the state, as we all know, government moves very slowly, and so some of these things don't necessarily take effect, or by the time they were to take effect, they might shift or change. But at the end of the day, the Medicaid is there, the service is there, and we continue to do that work. And so it may impact in other rooms and in other spaces, but the work that we do doesn't change and hasn't changed in 31 years in the many administrations that have been in place.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions that I can? Oh, sorry, you made eye contact, I think I had a question. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Judy Russell. Continue moving. Thank you all for coming. So now I want to talk to the other part of this amazing team. Cynthia Della Pena is a professional in the healthcare industry with over 24 years of experience. As a director of corporate communication at Community First Health Plans, she oversees community development, public relations, outreach and marketing, account services and education, and employee engagement. A proud first-generation Latina, Cynthia leads with heart, cultural pride, and a deep understanding of the communities she serves. She recognizes the importance of education and access, which fuels her passion for helping underserved populations and the medically fragile. In her role at Community First Health Plans, she has created strategic partnerships, impactful initiatives, and have helped improve health outcomes in San Antonio and the surrounding 7 counties. Cynthia has played a key role in creating and launching innovative health programs and community wellness events designed to expand outreach and improve well-being across the region. Her work reflects a strong commitment to inclusion and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Della Pena.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here with y'all. It's great to see y'all's lovely faces. So as I was listening to both Teresa's story and Judy's story, I've come to a revelation. That was fast. Ta-da! Thank you, folks. I'm just kidding. No, I really did come to a revelation of how the dynamic of our work comes to fruition every single day, how we have had the amazing outcomes that we've had, and how we work just towards the same goals and are very mission-driven and like-minded because we grew up in very similar scenarios for the most part. I whispered to my friend Lisa here as Judy was going over her initial story, and I was like, well, she took half my intro there. And then I realized I was also mic'd, and I was like, well, hot mic. But it's true. Yeah, take the mic off, it's a hot mic. Very similar to Judy. I am at 5 years old, so I'm from Nuevo Laredo, right across Laredo, Texas, right? And my parents divorced when I was about 5 years old, and my mom's like, we're going to San Antonio. And of course, right, what do you do as I'm an only child? That also will give you insight as to me and my personality. We're going to San Antonio, we're gonna go live with your aunt, and we're gonna go figure things out. And so that meant that we were now living in a 2-bedroom home with about 13 other people, right? My aunt had lots of babies, so all of a sudden I went from an only child to I had a lot of cousins. So for me, it was a lot of fun. And so my mom, yeah, she was learning English alongside me when I was in kindergarten. And so yes, I became her translator. And I did all the banking and the applications, and I'm pretty sure that's probably why she didn't qualify for some things, because I don't think I did it correctly, but I tried, and we learned together from watching. But I can definitely relate to the story of you don't know what you don't know, and you can't hold that against people, because as I was growing up, I had a huge accident, right? The biggest accident that I've ever had, and I ended up at University Health. I was uninsured. You know, my mom, we didn't have access to health coverage, and she said, we've got to go to the county hospital, because that was what it was, right? County hospital. And I remember being in the emergency room, and once I got put in the back of the room and I got taken care of, I remember thinking, oh man, like I want to work where people are making this much of an impact on others. I don't know that I want to be a doctor or a nurse, because I sliced my finger off, by the way. So I didn't want to do that, I knew that for sure. But I had a great person intaking information from me. I had someone that spoke to my mom in her language, that connected her to resources, and followed up with her after we left. And so it stayed with me, right? Because I was 15 years old at the time. I thought I knew what I wanted to do. And then that changed my whole perspective. And I started to think to myself, I would like to do that. I would like to help people. I would like to connect. And not too long ago, I had another speaking engagement and somebody said, oh, this is Cynthia de la Peña. She's a connector and a storyteller. And I'm like, that's what I am. I finally figured it out. I have a professional title, sure, but I thrive and I live in the space of connecting, communicating, and storytelling. And one of the things that I recently noticed as well is that it shows in your work. Because when I approach my sometimes unorthodox pitches of how we want to start a new program with a new partner that we've never done before, and I told Judy, I had this crazy idea. What do you think Teresa's gonna say? And somehow, in the midst of explaining the idea, the impact that it's gonna have on folks, the impact that I think we see in the potential of what we're gonna do and how our community is gonna be better for it. I finally understand what people say when they wholeheartedly say, you don't have to work a day in your life if you like what you do. And I like what I do. So yeah, are Monday mornings tough for me? I'm not a morning person. They're still tough for me. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying. I never stopped working, right? I went from kindergarten to high school to college to professional life, and Mondays are always hard. But I know that I have purpose. I know that I have leaders that support me. I know that even though sometimes crazy ideas are coming off the wall and they're just like, we've never done that before, but what do you think? I know that I have support. And I know that even though sometimes they're like, well, maybe we do this, but we kind of switch it up this way. I'm like, oh, that's a great perspective. I hadn't thought about it that way. I like that I'm working with folks that understand where our community is. And again, back to how you related to, it makes sense because our name is our commitment, right? Community first. And that has been something that has stuck with me for a very long time. Because in my role, as Dr. Sully was saying, right, I work with a lot of partners. And so in working with partners, you get to know your community a little bit more. You get to understand the needs. You get to understand where you can make the biggest impact. And I think that's wholeheartedly one of the biggest and greatest things that you can do. Because a lot of people have also asked me when I sit with them, well, I know you're a health insurance company and I know you guys do Medicaid and CHIP. And now I even heard you're doing Medicare and Marketplace, but what does that have to do with mentoring? What does that have to do with sports? What does that have to do with transportation? And it goes back to what both Teresa and Judy have said. If I were to tell you, hey, today, you didn't have insurance yesterday, but you have it today, here's your insurance card. I solved a problem, one. But are you still worried that you gotta pay your mortgage tomorrow? Does your child still need someone to look up to besides you that can dedicate some time and help guide them? Do you still need to get to your doctor's office? I can give you health coverage all day long, but how are you gonna get there? Do you need help with financial literacy? I'll confess, I probably need some additional help on that. I'm a great spender. But all of those things are obstacles, right? That we just can't assume that people are going to thrive if you give them access to healthcare. They need to have equal access to all the things. And what does all the things mean? I thoroughly enjoyed the period of how are we going to pivot, right, during COVID, because we took a where things just completely shut down and you had to figure something out. You had to meet people where they were. And so as a health plan, we were busy because we had to ensure that people were covered. But also, what were the other things that we needed to help with? food insecurity, housing, transportation, and then we discovered that education is a biggie. We have to empower ourselves to empower others around us in order to be able to continue to be just a fully functioning member of society. I do often think sometimes when I'm in the process of when we're growing our team and we're hiring, and we're like, you know what? That's where it's making the difference, right? If the position doesn't require certain things, but you have the heart, you have the experience. What we want is when people walk into our community office to not feel like, well, why are you here? How can I help you? Here, fill it out. Just do what you need to do. Because I have heard my mom spoken to in a manner that is not appropriate for anyone to speak to. I've felt almost ashamed because I'm asking for help. And also, if no one's ever done a big birthday bingo card, do a birthday bingo card. I'll come back to that. Because on my birthday bingo card, I have 2 spots that say ask for help. Judy, you're not allowed to quote me on this later. Because always in our culture, it's not okay, as you mentioned, right? You keep your dirty laundry back here. Don't ask for help because it's a sign of weakness. And so sometimes in communities, in certain cultural communities, you just don't ask for help. You just push through. Or you keep it in your family, but if your family doesn't have the answer, then you're all just drowning, right? So how do we help each other to get the word out? And that's where I really felt like I started to make a difference, right? Because sometimes you gotta shut the mic off on me, because I would just keep talking. And as someone who was on the phone, because that's how I started my career. So I was hired in 2001 at University Health, and I worked the front desk for the first ever urgent care at ExpressMed in 2001. And from there, I transferred to Community First, and I was in the phone unit. And I was just answering the phones, happy-go-lucky at quoting benefits. And I think somebody paid attention to, hey, this girl talks a lot. We need to work on our call volume times, our call handling times. And, but I was all free resources. It was all work, I promise. But someone once told me, hey, you have the gift of the gab. And I took it to heart because the person who told me that was our founding CEO, Charles Kite. And I very much respected him and very much looked up to him. And so he said, how can we take this gift and use it to be a voice on behalf of Community First? I was like, whoa, like that's huge, right? And so that kind of began my journey into outreach. And so from the, I haven't shut up since. So you can imagine my joy when I got to be out in the community, meeting people that not only looked like me, had experiences like me, that I saw my abuelita in, that I saw my mom in, my tío, myself, and that I could say, I can help you. I have the answer to that. And we don't do that as an organization, but I know someone that can help. And so since that happened in 2004, in the outreach team, I have had the privilege and opportunity to connect people to the resources that they need. And once Judy came on board, and this, I can't believe it's 7 years ago, because I swear to God, 5 years ago, she was still trying to claim that she was new to the organization. And I was like, yeah, you're past 24 months. That's like when people start counting toddler years, and they're like, oh, my 36-month-old. I'm like, oh, you have a whole 3-year-old. Like, that is not a toddler. Yeah. As I say, oh, my 118-month-old, and he's an 18-year-old son. But actually, don't say that, because I have an 18-year-old baby. We're not gonna get into that. But when she came on board, that was kind of right around, it was still freshly new for Teresa coming on board, so I had all new leadership, right? And I said, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my role, and how are things gonna change? Well, little did I know, things were gonna change so much for the better. because I wasn't already doing what I thought was a good job in communicating what we did as an organization and supporting our mission and moving our mission forward. But having that additional support, having two leaders that have been there. I am not a Hardendale graduate. I am an Edison Bear. I graduated from Edison High School. But I'm a San Antonian through and through. I don't use Google Maps half the time, so I know that drives Judy crazy. But I will find it. And if I gotta pull over and kind of get my bearings again, I will do it, but I won't put the Google Maps on because I already know it's gonna put me in a dead end and you already know what's gonna happen there. And I think that's where Teresa and I fall into because if we're in the car together, we're like, where are we going? I'm like, oh, that's next to the Dairy Queen, that's on the corner of Couples Road. Remember when that restaurant that shut down, but then the other one popped in? And now it's across the street in the Fun Town? Remember Fun Town? Why? And we go into a 20-minute conversation, we could have already arrived. But because we're going down memory lane of what was there, what used to be there, or what high school was at, but we'll find our way and we'll make it there. I feel like that's what makes the difference. One of the things that I always tell people about Community First is, you know, how we're not the traditional health plan. When you call us, you're literally calling your friends and your neighbors. You call us, you're not gonna get transferred out of state, out of the country. You're gonna get someone that's in town that lives here. And when you say, oh, well, I'm looking for a doctor, I live by Ingram Park Mall, and you're like, oh, you live by Park Mall, by Holmes High School, by the Chick-fil-A, are you? And they're like, oh, like, you actually know what I'm talking about. Yeah, because we live and work right here in San Antonio. We're also gonna know about the really bad traffic on 35, so be careful when you choose your physician, right? Because you may get stuck with all the 1604 flyovers but those are the things that matter, because I know that when my friend's mom calls other places, one, they can't get through. They're getting outsourced, and then they have to talk to a machine. When you're calling us, there's also probably met at a community event. And whose CEO runs around town, right? Saying, yeah, I went to high school right up the road here and I have my roots here. It's not very common. And so that for me is another point of pride that we all are very, not only proud to be San Antonian, proud to be local, but proud to be investing in our community. I don't know that my intention was to grow up and to be in a place of, or in a position where I would impact our community this way. But I take a lot of pride because I see the pride in my mom's eyes, and I saw the proud look in my uncle's eyes before he passed. And he said, oh, my dream was always to see you behind that desk. And this was at the Express Med desk. And it makes me proud to help the community, to empower our community, and to help us get healthier as a community. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, to make a difference, to hopefully change lives for the better, to get people healthy, and really honestly, to be part of a team that betters our community overall, because it's not easy to go to work and to do the work that you have to do at the pace that you have to do it. Because we've all heard those horror stories of like, oh, I got this person on my team, right? Or, I'm speaking, Teresa was a VP of Organizational Development, which is code for HR, right? So she's heard those horror stories. And oftentimes dealt with them, right? And you had to deal with them. That's part of the job. And a lot of the times, I'm thankful that I get to say it's in lieu of like, oh, that's part of the job. I get to say, man, that's part of my job. And it's great to be able to feel like you are a change maker, that you do get to impress upon people through your passion. What is it that you always say, Judy? I get to do my
I get paid to do my community work.
I get paid to do my community work, because if we weren't doing this role, we'd be doing it, we just wouldn't be getting a paycheck for it, right? But oftentimes you see the same people that are participating in those give back events that we have. So if we haven't talked about it yet, this is how giving and how innovative our organization is, and through leaders like Teresa. So one of the things that she said to get people vested at Community First was, let's start a volunteer program, and it's called the Give Back Program, where you've seen it, right? You're at the food bank and you see all the shirts of the Valero folks or the HB folks. Well, the Community First folks don't have to volunteer outside our work time. We're at work and we get to choose the event that we want to participate in. And so it makes a huge difference when the message comes all the way from our CEO to every level of the organization, because if she's vested in that sense, why wouldn't I be vested in it, right? And so we have had at least, I don't know, it's over several hundred hours just last year in people giving their time. We had over 9,000 pounds of food given to our food pantries. And a lot of people always ask us, like, why do you have food pantries? Like, doesn't the food bank already do that? Yes, we're not the food bank, and we're not by any means trying to take care of Cooper's job at all. We work with the food bank to identify these food deserts. And because we know that there's a great need in our community, we decided, hey, how can we help substantiate what's already being done? How do we augment that? And so the food pantry initiative was another way of us saying, hey, we recognize that there's a need and how do we help? And so with that, it's another layer of how does Community First fit into the fabric of our community? Well, nourishing our community is health, right? And health is how we move forward. Because if we don't have our health, we can't do anything else. We can't move forward. We can't get our education. Without the education, we can't get to creating the wealth. Without creating the wealth, we can't keep our homes. So all of it is tied together. And so I urge you that if you've not looked up Community First, please visit our website. Please connect with any of the three of us that are here. We're all very easily accessible. And we invite you to learn about our mission, get connected, visit us. We are at, let me tell you this also, because I like to brag on my team a little bit. Once the weather clears up, our team participates in 30 to 60 community events on a monthly basis. So that is a lot of community outreach. So if you find someone that says, I don't know, how do I get connected? Find us at a community event, visit our website, get connected. And I urge you to think about some of the things that you went through when you were younger or before you got to where you are right now. Put yourself in that spot and think, how could I have helped that version of myself? Because there's someone just like you in that situation right now that needs that help, that needs that push, that needs that support. And all they need is for someone to say, hey, how can I help you? How can I support you? And that's what I feel like I get to do every single day, not just through the people that I work with, but through the community partners. And that's the bulk of what I do. So I thank you so much for letting me be a little bit vulnerable up here. I appreciate every single one of you. And thank you so much.
Questions, anyone?
I am positive that I went through the Teresa Sapansky line of applications because that was in 2001. But I actually had a question for you and I missed my window because I was worried about a hot mic, which I shouldn't have because my question was, so Judy, who's your favorite employee? No pressure to answer that question at all, but the camera is live and the mic is hot.
Thank you so very much. Thank you a lot. Well, actually, I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for what you've done for me in this community. Thank you, Community First. Please
let's come up here and take a photograph. But can you explain how this actual speaker series came about?
Yes, I can. So Sho and his team, Vaughn and Frank, we had lunch and they said, we really enjoyed your 30 over 30 event, which actually was an idea that was derived from Judy's brain because again, they're a very innovative team. Even a photo. Not everyone But yes, so during lunch.
Thank you.
He's so reassuring, he's the best photographer ever. But yeah, so I was having lunch with Fawn, Frank, and Sho, and he said, wow, like, how did this idea come about of 30 over 30? Because most organizations take their anniversary or their win, and it's a hoorah for the organization. But instead, Judy was like, how do we hoorah everyone else around us that's been supporting us and supporting our community for the past 30 years? And so that's how 30 over 30 came about. She said, we want to share our birthday with the community and highlight the partners. And so Sho and his team said, we love that idea and we would love to further highlight what you've done and create the Dream Hour Speaker Series where we give the opportunity for all of your 30 over 30 recipients to highlight and share their story and their passion. And so seeing these past couple of weeks, seeing Donna with the Arc of San Antonio, Brian Lopez with Down Syndrome Association, and Denise was here from Big Brothers and Big Sisters, who, caveat, I'm on the board. Opportunity home. Yes, it's just, Lewis from the YMCA, there's just been a plethora of people that are doing amazing work, and it's just been so fulfilling to be able to see that everybody's gotten an additional platform. Because one of the things that Judy has always said was, she knows that working in a nonprofit, we all have limitations on budget, right? And how do we get that extra media coverage? How do we get those extra social media posts and shares and, all the SEOs and things like that? You share and you work collaboratively. So thank you, Sho, for the opportunity.
Without community stuff, we wouldn't have a speaker series. And this particular year was very, I think it basically worked so much better because we had a central location. We had all this great nonprofit organizations that we wouldn't manage to get hold of. And we're also thinking that maybe throughout the rest of the year, we might revisit this and have the speakers back throughout the year. And we really tell the luncheon.
Yes.
So you were meant to be our keynote speaker. Okay, so hopefully next year.
Yes.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. And Dr. Sule, please come on. Round of applause. Important to talk. You want me to please up?
And happy hour upstairs that maybe you want to see on the event.
That's great presentation.
He just kind of said exactly.
Do it in your voice.
So I got to piggyback on what you said about SEO because I've done this for a couple of years and I'm so grateful for bringing me to do this. However, from the founder of Dream Voice, when he says the voice, I'm sure my little likes and follows just went going, ooh, ooh. So I appreciate that. A lot of people can say those types of things, but when Sho says that, when the Dream Week team says that, it's amazing. I don't take this lightly. San Antonio, please keep coming out to these events. Please do not sit and get caught up in there's nothing going on in our city.
Yeah.
There are things happening. Nothing is going on. So keep your eye on the internet. Keep your eye on the YouTube. For those that are watching live, please subscribe. For those of you
Right,
who
and
do not
like.
know where to subscribe, please go to Dream Week San Antonio and subscribe. I didn't even know. I looked for this event and I found like 4 events and I'm like, oh man, I want to see that. So super awesome. Thank you, Community First. Thank you so much for all that you do. To the rest of our partners, to those that came out today at the Hard Rock Cafe, thank you. Please also do not forget, please get your dream ball ticket. It is the place to be. Okay, it is the place to be. I plan on being in it. My wife doesn't go anywhere else. She's like, stop making events on the same day of the dream ball. I'm like, I know. This year I was calling show like 100 times. I'm like, when? So my event's already done. So really great opportunity. You all please head up.